This could be perfect for the Lakers if they jump on this opportunity, as we have gotten a recent report that revealed an offer, yes, an asking price for one of the best defensive centers on the market, and it's no secret the Lakers are looking for some big man help, but all this talk has to lead somewhere, and this could be the best option for this Laker squad. What's good? I'm Okechi Apakama, and this is Lakers Digest coming at you with another video. And before we get into everything we have for you for today's video, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to get those Laker updates, especially with us trying to push towards 5,000 subscribers before the end of the month. So each and every one of you guys who like, comment, subscribe, and share the channel are truly appreciated, and we see you guys. All right, with that out of the way, let's hop straight into the topics we have for you today, as an asking price was revealed for Robert Williams. So it's no secret, like I said before, the Lakers are looking for some big man help. They kind of got some the other day by letting Quincy Oliveira go and then bringing another two-way, Trey Jamison, in. And he's about like a 6'11 big man who could get some spot minutes here or there, or he could be a placeholder for a move that the Lakers are going to make later on, as there has been some interest out there for other centers like Valanciunas and Vucevic, but Robert Williams is another name that has been out there and has been floating for the Los Angeles Lakers, but I think he could be the best option for this Lakers squad for what they need right now. So here was the recent report, and it stated that Jonas Valanciunas and Robert Williams are expected to be available on this trade market for multiple second-round picks per Mike A. Scudo. Valanciunas and Williams are expected to command multiple second-round picks on the trade market, according to various NBA executives who have spoken to Hoops Hype. So that is a big deal for Los Angeles Lakers, knowing what the asking price is going to be. So it's not going to take a first-round pick to acquire a guy like Robert Williams' services, and he's making about $12.4 million, so you can find the salary within your roster to match that and send that over to the Portland Trailblazers. But between those two names there, Valanciunas, who has been a name that has been floating around for the Los Angeles Lakers for quite some time, pretty much all the way dating back to the summer. And then you have Robert Williams, who is available mostly because of the logjam that's going on in Portland over there with all their centers. I believe they have 4 centers on the roster with DeAndre and Klingon, Robert Williams III, and Death Rope. So like all those centers are all there vying for minutes. So somebody kind of has to get traded for them to have a better roster balance. So Robert Williams, I think, is the guy that the Lakers should be going after, because he is one of the few guys that not only can be a very good defensive player for you, but he's one of the guys that have playoff success. And that's not anything that you can say about any of the other players available out there on the market, mostly because they haven't had to play in the playoffs, or have been in the playoffs and just have been minimized to some point. But a guy like Robert Williams should be a guy that the Lakers are going after, because I do believe he is the best option, the best defensive option, especially when healthy, paired with a guy like Anthony Davis. Those two can really wreak havoc there on the back line if they're playing together, and you can give Anthony Davis some minutes off the court by having Robert Williams be the solo center, because he is very capable of being a shot blocking center and also a guy that can snatch up rebounds there, especially if given the opportunity. But just let's take a look at his past couple of seasons here in the NBA, and obviously the biggest thing for a guy like Robert Williams is the games played, just because he hasn't been a relatively healthy individual as he got into the league. But in those years there where he started to figure things out there in Boston, where he was starting about in that 2021-2022 season, where he started 61 games and played 61 games, and he was a guy that really made an impact for that Celtic team. Was a very good lob threat and defensive rebounder for them, and offensive rebounder. He is very active on that side of the ball, so he was very good when it came to rebounding the basketball and just being a big defensive presence, as he finished 7th in Defensive Player of the Year and was also second team all defense. So that's another thing about Robert Williams III. He is an all defense guy, and he was a guy that was on a team that was competing at the highest level. Robert Williams has played in an NBA Finals. That cannot be said about any of the other guys on the trade market that have been out there. And that experience is extremely valuable on, especially on a team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Because if you can get more of those guys who have been in those situations, you won't get too many guys who are scared of the moment. And I don't think Robert Williams, especially if you place him in the right role, I don't think he'll be afraid of the situation, and he can really help this Lakers squad out, especially on the backboards where they truly need it, not only in defensive rebounding, but offensive rebounding as well. Because if that's another guy the Lakers can, another thing that the Lakers can add to their arsenal, that can really shore up some of their offense, especially when say like a guy, and if you have him and Anthony Davis on the floor together, and then say he's crashing the glass and he doesn't get the rebound, that's all good. You have a guy like Anthony Davis retreating backwards to get the ball, or vice versa. Say if Anthony Davis goes after the offensive rebound, then you can have Robert Williams head back, and really helps shore up your transition defense, which is where the Lakers have struggled a good amount of the year, and mostly just for the past couple of seasons, because they haven't had some of that too big looks that can really help you out in these situations. And like I said, Robert Williams is the guy that I would look to, just because of he's been able to play in the playoffs. And let's take a look at his playoff stats actually here, as he's played in the playoffs 5 different seasons, obviously all with the Boston Celtics, but he was really impactful in 3 of them there, as that 20 season where he played 13 games for them, shot about 74%, which actually led the way in field goal percentage there. And he wasn't doing much of points and reboundings in that series, but that was also because of his role in minutes per game. But when he started to get more minutes, that was in the 2021 season and 2022 season, along with the 2022 and the 2023 season. That's when you started to see some real solid play from a guy like Robert Williams, averaging just about 7 points per game and just about 6 rebounds per game, and two blocks in the better playoff run that they had, when they had 17 games and went all the way to the NBA Finals. And then in the latter season, he had about 1.3 blocks per game. So he's a guy that can block shots for you, rebound, and finish around the basket at a very high rate. The one question I do have about him is his free throw shooting, because it can be kind of up and down here and there. But I don't imagine he's going to be a guy that's going to be shooting a ton of free throws, mostly because he's not going to be getting the ball rather than if it's a dump off or putback, or essentially just being a guy just to help move the offensive along, because he's not going to be a guy that you can throw the ball into and then he'll make a post move and then he'll go and make a bucket. But he's more of a guy that is a very solid screen setter, a guy who can be a very dynamic roller because of his leaping ability and his offensive rebounding, which is very undervalued, I think, in today's NBA, because if you have an elite offensive rebounder, you have to account for that if you're the defense, because you cannot have a guy having free reign to the rim. And if you have 2 guys on the floor together with Williams and Davis, who are 2 elite offensive rebounders, that you have to account for. And that's why I think a guy like Robert Williams has to be the guy the Lakers go after. And that leads me to my next topic here, as Williams should be the guy for the Lakers. Robert Williams is a guy that, I know he hasn't played too much with the Portland Trailblazers. He's been injury prone here and there, but I think part of that has to do with, playing in Portland. When you've been playing a lot of serious basketball that he was playing with the Boston Celtics, and then you were traded to a situation in Portland where things aren't as serious and they're not really trying to win too many basketball games over there currently at that state. So that can kind of take away from your basketball enthusiasm. And that's why we haven't seen too much of Robert Williams playing. But when he does get some minutes here or there, he can show that ability to be a guy that can give you a double-double in 20 to 25 minutes of play and can give you some block shots and that rim intimidation that you truly need, especially when Anthony Davis is not on the floor. So there's value for him if he's on the floor with AD, and there's also value for him when he's off the floor without AD. Or he's on the floor without AD. So Robert Williams, what he can do for you, and some of the lineups that you can possibly place him in, say if there's a lineup where he's in a front court with him, LeBron, and Finney Smith, that is a very good defensive lineup there, especially when you have LeBron James engaged. And then Dorian Finney-Smith is a guy who has been very communicative and talkative. And then you have Robert Williams, who can be an athletic freak and monster back there on the back line. So there is a lot of different things that you can do. Obviously, it depends on what type of players you have to send out. But like I said, he's getting paid about $12.4 million. So they can match that with Gabe Vincent and maybe even another one of their vet minimum contracts, say a Christian Wood or a Cam Reddish. So it wouldn't take too much, or even a Jalen Hunter-Fino. So it wouldn't take too much for the Lakers in lieu of players to acquire a guy like Robert Williams. And with the signing of Trey Jamison, it makes you wonder kind of what's going on with some of their other backup bigs. We've seen Hayes here and there, and Hayes, he has his flaws, and I do worry about him in a playoff setting. So I can see why a lot of people don't want to go with a guy like Jackson Hayes. And going small, it kind of has its benefits, but sometimes it's not always super great for the Los Angeles Lakers, especially if you're trying to go the LeBron, Finney-Smith, and say Rui Hachimura at those front court positions. So I do think that can be fine against some matchups, but if you go against those bigger teams, those teams that have size, teams like the Denver Nuggets, teams like the Houston Rockets, who have a guy like Steven Adams backing them up, teams like the Memphis Grizzlies, these are all big teams that you're going to need guys to size up with, and Robert Williams should be the guy. That's who Rob Pelinka should be looking at, especially with a guy like Nick Richards, who is now off the board. So look for a guy like Robert Williams, a defensive guy who can make an impact, can guard bigger dudes, especially in two big lineups. And he's played in two big lineups before because he's played with Al Horford over there in Boston. So Robert Williams, to me, is the guy for the Lakers, but let's see if they do make a deal for his services. And just one more thing, because the Lakers had practice earlier today, JJ Redick said something very interesting that I think really bodes well with what I'm talking about here, as JJ Redick said the Lakers are going to play more two big lineups moving forward in small doses, and he said he made that adjustment to help shore up the team's defense and rebound. And what's one thing that Rob Williams can do very well is defend and rebound the basketball, and that's why he should be the one. And JJ Redick has kind of been foreshadowing this, some of these more two big lineups. We'll see, obviously, with Jackson Hayes in the meantime. But if they can get a deal done for Robert Williams before that February 6th trade deadline, I will be a very happy camper. All right, guys, let us know what you guys think in the comments down below of what do you think of a guy like Robert Williams. Do you think he is the best center available out there for the Lakers at the moment? And do you think the Lakers should make a deal for him? Let us know in the comments down below. And just one more thing for us, guys. There is about 91% of you who have recently watched our videos but are not subscribed to the channel just yet. And if you guys want more of those Laker news, Laker updates, trade rumors, just every and all things LA Lakers, you guys want to come right here to Lakers Digest so you don't miss any of that action. All right, I've been your host, Okechi Apakama, and I will catch you guys on the next one.